everybody, today I'm going to be doing my presentation on the EEG PowerPoint. For this assignment, I chose the condition narcolepsy. I am having trouble doing the voiceover, so I've decided to just go over the slides as is on my laptop. So let's get started. A quick overview of narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a chronic neurological disorder that impairs the brain's ability to regulate the sleep-to-wake cycle. It's usually characterized by things like excessive daytime sleepiness, cataplexy, sleep paralysis, and hypnagogic hallucinations. So the sleep-to-wake balance is a dysfunction in our brain's mechanisms to naturally go from the state of sleeping to waking, as most normal people would do, as their brains would naturally work. People with narcolepsy have an imbalance in this portion of their brain, so they do not go from just regular sleeping to waking as a so-called normal person would do. Hypocretin deficiency is another factor. So levels of the neuropeptide hypocretin are reduced as seen with this condition. This neuropeptide plays a strong role in regulating wakefulness as well. There's also genetic factors that come into play with narcolepsy. There can be an increased risk with specific genes. The genes most commonly associated with this disorder include the HLA and hypocretin receptor 2, HCR2 for short. Now, the pathophysiology of this disorder is pretty interesting. So, again, the neurotransmitter hypocretin is a big key factor in narcolepsy, and deficiency of it is more common than not seen with patients with narcolepsy. So that neuropeptide hypocretin is produced in our hypothalamus, which is involved in multiple every day-to-day bodily functions. It promotes wakefulness and regulates both REM or REM sleep and, of course, the sleep-wake cycle. Autoimmune destruction of hypocretin producing neurons may lead to lower levels / the production of hypocretin, and of course genetics and environmental factors are also contributors to the production and levels of hypocretin. So we have three main points here for this slide. There's the autoimmune response, the response that our immune system gives, especially in response to the hypocretin, producing it, not producing it. There is the genetic portion, genetic predisposition, specific genes that some people might be born with that increase their vulnerability of developing narcolepsy. And then third, we have environmental triggers. Those also have a potential role in triggering the disease. So common symptoms of narcolepsy. The biggest indicator and common primary symptom of narcolepsy is going to be the excessive daytime sleepiness. Most people with this condition have the uncontrollable urge to sleep during the day. They literally cannot keep their eyes open for more than 2 seconds. They will fall asleep any and everywhere. Cataplexy is another common symptom with narcolepsy. So cataplexy is the sudden muscle weakness that is often triggered by having strong emotions like laughing or being surprised or exercising, etc., etc. Basically, it's sudden muscle weakness that can come and go. Third, hallucinations are another symptom that is more common than not when it comes to narcolepsy, especially given that those with narcolepsy are not getting adequate or proper sleep. So hallucinations are more common in sleep-deprived individuals. But it's also caused by the imbalance in the brain's neurotransmitters during REM sleep cycle. So 2 types of hallucinations are pretty common with narcolepsy. We have the hypnagogic hallucinations, which happens when a person is falling asleep, and hypnopompic hallucinations, which happen as a person is waking up. So EEG patterns. EEG findings in narcolepsy may show early onset of REM sleep cycle. Alpha activity is often also usually present during wakefulness. The multiple sleep lateral test typically reveals sleep onset REM patterns in individuals with narcolepsy. So these EEG patterns support the clinical diagnosis as well. So example EEG waveforms. So EEG waveforms are very important because they can help us differentiate narcolepsy from other sleep disorders, like for example, sleep apnea, etc., etc. So sleep onset REM patterns are an indicator of narcolepsy. They appear as rapid eye movements and low muscle tone soon after sleep onset. So as we can see, the different EEG waveforms here, we have alpha activity during wakefulness, which is a symptom of narcolepsy. We have sleep spindles, which are brief bursts. The K complex, which shows sudden deflections. Now, EEG changes show the instability of the sleep to wake states. Reduced hypocretin levels disrupt these normal transitions between wakefulness, NREM, and REM sleep. So this makes for a natural tendency of the REM sleep intrusions as the brain struggles to maintain its natural sleep stability. Cortical arousal also increases wakefulness. It happens when a shift in our brainwave activity decreases our alertness and wakefulness. So I have my 3 main points here again. Hypocretin deficiency leads to disrupted sleep regulation. REM instability causes frequent REM intrusions, interruptions. Cortical arousal is alpha activity during sleep. Now for the clinical manifestations, sleep onset REM patterns on multiple sleep latency tests correlates with EDS, which is excessive daytime sleepiness, and cataplexy. The intrusion, or you could also say interruption, the interruption of REM sleep into wakefulness explains these symptoms. Alpha activity during sleep may point to higher cortical arousal as well. It contributes to broken sleep and daytime sleepiness. And what I mean by broken sleep is basically, as it says, you're having broken sleep. You're not having straight through the night, normal, so to speak, type of sleep. You're having insomnia, you can't sleep. You're just not having consistent through the night sleep. So, treatment considerations. Narcolepsy treatments are intended to improve wakefulness and control cataplexy. Lifestyle modifications and medications are most commonly used in managing / treating this condition. Typically, there are 3 different medicines that are going to be used for narcolepsy treatment. Stimulants promote wakefulness as they usually increase energy and alertness. If you're familiar with stimulants for those with ADHD, caffeine is also a stimulant. That's one of the easiest ways to describe it. Stimulant would basically provide energy to the individual in the same way that caffeine almost would. Antidepressants are another one. They reduce cataplexy and prevent sleep paralysis. And sodium oxybate reduces cataplexy as well and improves sleep quality. Now the prognosis. So narcolepsy is established and known as a chronic condition. Managing narcolepsy has a focus on symptom control and basically just improving the quality of life for the patient. Narcolepsy is a condition that I'm sure takes a toll on patients in their day-to-day lives. So managing it and being able to live your life day to day without having to worry about this chronic condition is ultimately the goal in treating and managing the symptoms here. So with the proper treatment and management, the individual can live a normal life and not be affected so much by this condition. But regular follow-ups with a sleep specialist and primary care physician and just healthcare providers in general are going to be really important in order to continue managing this condition, as there's no definite cure at the moment. So this is an ongoing treatment plan for most likely the rest of the patient's life. Doing other things like regular exercise, managing, keeping a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle in general, making sure that you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, which is hard to say for someone with narcolepsy, but still getting as much sleep as possible is going to help with, symptoms like hallucinations and sleepiness. Also, taking naps throughout the day, if the patient is able to, would be a good idea in managing the excessive daytime sleepiness and other symptoms that come with this condition. And my references at the end. I hope you all enjoyed my presentation about narcolepsy. If I left anything out or you have any questions, feel free to let me know.